Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 504. Today is Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, and I'm glad you could join me today. We have a little bit of a off episode because I was at the Strung Along retreat this weekend. It was a long weekend. So what would it be? So recording at a slightly different time. I figured it was easier to record now instead of procrastinating and putting things away because we're rolling from one exciting knitting event to the next. um, so, what was it? I ended up taking some vacation time. I might need to turn on my do not disturb. Okay, there we go. That's fine. I was like looking at all the options, so turn on my do not disturb. It'll be fine. Because would it be otherwise the work decks will continue to roll in even though I'm not working. Yeah, so typically Tuesday is my very long day, so I go to the office and then I come back home and then I have many meetings through the evening, but because I took the day off today, I am not. So I will ruthlessly leverage that to my advantage. So I also have to laugh at myself because uh so uh I I have been working on the sleeve of my Nightfall cardigan or school ring. I am knitting it out of Rama Phenol Garn or PT2, and um I have not, or we might just be in the negative progress territory right now, and that is fine. And then I was like almost to the point where I was going to be knitting with fresh yarn, and so I was sitting outside of my gate at the airport, and I put my sweater on, and I looked at it. I'm like, I should. it I decided to start doing decreases at the wrong time. So the pattern calls for like an even taper throughout. Um, and like I even added ease when I did the cast, whatever, when I separated. But yeah, basically I sat down in the classroom Friday morning at the Stronger Along retreat, and we were like having some discussion. So I ended up getting my sweater onto the barber cord and the sleeve onto needles, and I put it on because I was trying to figure out how much more I needed to knit before I put on the cuff, and I'm like, this sleeve is too tight. This sleeve is not going to work. Um, so, and then like looking at like where things were going, I was like, I'm gonna have to rip the whole sleeve back. And so I made this decision 10 a.m. Friday morning and spent the day ripping it back. Got to the point where I ended up knitting the first color of the gradient straight. Was already into color number 5 when I tried it on at the airport today. I was like, I need it to be the full width all the way to my elbow. And like if you look at my arm, like this tracks. It was like my like forearm has like a really big taper, but my bicep is pretty tubular. I was happy with how much ease I had. Um, I was happy with how much ease I had there. So I was ripping back sleeve at my gate and in the airplane. And now I am knitting this section again. So I think it is likely, um, what would it be? I think that it is likely that because of this experience, um, would it be? I'm probably not going to change it up that much, and I probably will end up letting it be fairly generous cuff size. So we'll see what goes down. But that's where we're at right now. So it's like just like double checking the needle size because I had to take it all the way off. Yeah. So I did briefly contemplate if I wanted to get it back onto or knit on the body for a while because I was very happy with the ease in the body. Whatever. So Um, it will be exceedingly easy to duplicate this on the other side once I finally settle on how I want this first sleeve to be. So, screw ring. I was like, that yarn, we have this guy. So I thought for this recording I was going to be back in fresh yarn again. No, we're just reknitting for a while. But honestly, it is the case where I was definitely catching myself pretty frequently um, missing the lice. So it was a all over colorwork carton is probably not the best retreat knitting, but it was the knitting I already had. So we're gonna go with it. But it was definitely a case where like this was what I think I ended up working on the most. Um, but I don't have a lot to show for it. It was like, where was I the last time I talked about this project? So it's fine. Um, so at some point I will finally get to um, I will finally get to do something new. But um, and then because of how things worked out, I'm gonna have to join yarn back on because I was so confident when I broke the yarn. I should have waited that it was going to be so much better because I was really happy with the ease when I tried it on here, and it was just either like too fast to decrease rate or I don't know. So we're just gonna keep going till the elbow. It's fine. So I'll have to join again, and I will accept that it will be pretty straightforward. So it's turning out lovely. We're now into that fourth bright teal color. Earlier today I was in the dark teal color, and it's fine. And at some point I will get to be in the forest green, the darkest one. Um, But it was funny because, like, um, one of the times that I was trying it on, like, the needle fell out and couldn't find the needle again. Hasn't been lost and found, so it's fun. So, it, I've knit on it a lot. It's just not much you can see. Um, the other project that I was working on was the hexagon socks. Uh, and this is really hard on my knitting bag. Um, but yeah, this didn't end up making as much progress. So I think I am now on my third hexagon since we chatted last, but maybe not. Or third, I ended up doing about 3 hexagons on the trip, so I finished up my second row and then I did the first one in my third, and I'm starting the second now. So this is Hexagons by Kristen Hall, that I'm knitting out of Volmisa Twin in the Red Hot Chili colorway. So very, very bold and fun in this pattern. Um, but like it is the case where what would it be? It wasn't what I wanted to be doing. So it was definitely the case where I would well, some of it was that I needed to borrow one of the double pointed needles to do a task from class, so I couldn't work on it then. And then the other thing was like it can be like a little bit fiddly, so you have to be reading your knitting to know when the decreases are supposed to happen and make sure you're following the pattern right. And so it's just like, okay, fine. So I made a little bit of progress, and if I had been working on this, I might have had more to show for all of my time off, but I was in no danger of running out of knitting. None at all. That's, yeah. It was like read the knitting to figure out where I am. So this one has been fun. It definitely mystified a couple of people because it's um I want to say this pattern was originally published in 2012, so it's or earlier. So it's not something that's maybe as commonly available. But this is what my spouse wants, so it's fine. It's fine. So, what would it be? We are approaching the heel pretty soon, but not quite. So I still have 2 and some hexagons to knit before I need to really start worrying about that. And then my plan is to incorporate this smaller ring into, or I want to just incorporate this smaller ring into the foot, and it'll have to be sort of the second row of the foot, basically. But that means it won't get in the way of him getting it onto. It won't get in the way of him getting it over his heel. He really wanted it to be at the ankle, but it doesn't fit. So, so it's not too crazy. It hasn't been my primary project, but considering how much I've been struggling with my sweater, I don't know if it would have been better with this or not, but I didn't ever need to rip anything back. So what I'm doing here is to help sort of keep things tidy. I just wrap the yarn around the needles so that it doesn't puncture the bag. And then I do have my Notion tool here because I need um, something to cut yarn and something to weave the tail through each and every hexagon. So not too crazy. Um, let's see. It was like, do we have anything in here? It was like, I might just have things that need to get done. Yeah. So this was something that I brought to help get some ideas on troubleshooting. And so I'll have to actually execute on that plan. And then I brought some other things which I didn't end up fixing in class. But I did do some repairs in class. So I ended up taking a workshop on mending. Um, and so, and it was quite a bit. So um, we had this watch for class. And probably didn't need this much watch, but it's fine. Oh, I messed that up. So confident, so confident. That would explain why it was a slightly different height. That would also explain slightly different looseness. But what is it? So it was the case where like the first half of the class was open repairs, so things you could do to fix what was going on. Like if you noticed that you needed to put in ribbing or a cable. So this was just a flat swatch, and we did all of that in the class. I also finally mastered doing duplicate stitch on the front side, which is a lot less annoying than the back. um, so I have a couple of different lengths of yarn into this swatch, but I think the coolest thing we ended up doing was so we have invisible repairs, or pretty invisible at least. So I made um like a more complicated duplicate stitch repair and then a simpler duplicate stitch repair in this swatch. And there might be a couple more things that I could do as well. This one too. Just depends how I'm feeling. So it just depends on like what I could see and notice basically. Yeah. So there's like a spot on this where it's thin, so I could practice a little bit more. So it's like it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Um, and then oh, what was it? Like have to just unpacking from the trip at the same time. um, but I think it is here. Like I ended up doing some repairs on live socks. So this is the second one that I ended up doing because I got frustrated doing the duplicate stitch repair in a very worn sock. But this is a knit on patch, which is covering up a hole. And so we learned how to secure the sides nicely. Had some practice with stitching it down. Um, and so, and also you can just see like the color difference between the same yarn and this. So I think I'm gonna end up doing this on quite a few more things. And then it would be the case where, like even just looking at this right now, there's probably one more repair that I can do with this before we call it good, and hopefully it's not too hard to do. But I definitely have a length of yarn floating around from the socks. No big deal. Because I do want to be able to use my socks. But yeah, no, I'm just noticing that there's like a thin spot in here that I would like to duplicate stitch over before I put it back into general pop. But I ended up doing so this pair of socks we had like pulled out because there were like pretty big holes in it and a couple of different troublesome spots. So I did, and this is an example of Scottish darn. And so you're just repeatedly doing blanket stitch in order to secure everything down. Um, and so that's really good if you have like problems in like a cuff area. And I do need to weave in the ends, but so there was like two spots that were sort of like weak cuff on this specific sock. Um, and then I also did um, three different ones on the bottom of this foot. So I did my first knitted patch with this black yarn. I did Scottish darn with a hole that was here, and then I did a woven patch over the broken fabric there. And like the extent of these holes was sort of big enough, which oh, I can really see. So there was quite a lot of damage on this sock, but by doing this, I think I was able to protect quite a lot of it. Oops. So you can really see like the big contrast with like the yarn I used for the repair, but there are some really big holes, but now they sort of have like a stabilizing perimeter on them, and then they can just sort of felt and work in as you go. And then we'll get to have a fun experiment about whether or not the knit patch or the woven patch is tougher for this, but not like a perfect experiment because I think the woven patch is definitely a softer yarn. So, so I think I have, aside from some end weaving to finish this off, I think I have everything that I need. But it was really cool to be able to basically just work on a live thing. Um, that wasn't, or whatever. I think, whatever. Like I got some stuff done. So, this might irritate me, and I'm gonna have to drop back to fix this. But it makes yeah, because this one seems short. All right, I can't believe. You gotta check the back of your work sometimes. So, so this was like would be. I definitely picked up like a couple new skills. So I'd never done the Scottish darn before, um, which is pretty good when the the problem is quite large. But yeah, so I'd never done the knit-on patch or the woven patch. There are a lot of tools out there um, that will end up sort of maintaining the shed for your weaving. And after the annoyance of trying to thread my darning needle when they just want to be on totally different levels, might be worth it. I didn't try in class. Maybe I should have, but then I would have maybe been farther behind. So, oh well, there's only so much time. But so excited to get some good repairs in. And then I don't know if this was like the last time that we spoke or not, but I did end up making my green bats and I spun the singles for them. So you can definitely see that there is like some pink in here, and that's coming from the fiber I ended up getting for my SSK class. Um, so what is it? So we will be filling out the gradient of colors from here. I'm not sure what I want my next color to be. Never mind. whatever. And I can't remember if I had finished the yellow one since we spoke last. Well, I haven't washed any of these, but the yellow one turned out yellow. Like I think I showed you guys the bats. So, um, it was like it's like a little sorry. Like there definitely is a lot of color variation here, but it's still yellow. Um, so maybe I will do the orange next. The orange should be pretty moody because I put a lot of browns. I put a lot of browns in Team Orange, but I'll probably apply this up tonight, I think. Um, I probably will apply this up tonight, and then I'll see whether or not I want to get going on a get going on the orange bats or not, since this room is my space again. It was a short trip from the endless this time. But in terms of thickness, I got a little bit thinner on this one, so we'll see how it goes. Um, I do have to concentrate quite a bit to make sure I'm not going too thin, but want to be very excited about this spinning rainbow, and also excited it whatever, making 2-ply sport to decay weight yarn. It was like progress, progress. So that is almost all the project stuff. Um, we had one more project to share, and this one is dyeing. So one of the activities at the retreat was silk painting, and so they provided everyone got a silk scarf that they could paint how they liked, and the recommendation, and then a bunch of different sort of resists and other tools in order to make your creative vision happen, and then lots of examples. So it was like, do you want to start with your scarf dry and have crisp paint lines, or make your scarf wet and have more of like a watercolor effect? And um so they then droppers, paintbrushes, whole thing. But it wasn't dye, it was paint. So um I probably need to do one more round of ironing now that I'm home, and maybe on an iron where I can actually read the writing and make sure that I'm actually on the silk setting. Um, but so what I ended up, oh, and this is just so pretty. So the recommendation was that you went with colors you like, and then one color that made you a little bit uncomfortable. And I had selected a hot fuchsia as my color pop, but I knew it would all be very analogous. And so what I did was I folded it in half because I'm an engineer, and every place that you see a little pink dot was a place where I had placed a marble. And that, and then I tied it on with a rubber band. And so what that gave me was a little bit of resist, so light and dark and variation in color. And then when I started painting it, and I started like wet as well. And then when I started painting it, I put pink on every one of my marbles, and I flipped it back and forth, so that I would have like really good color saturation. And then I put my 3 different shades of blue in between the other places. If it dripped, we let it go there. It was fine. And sort of this really darkest one is the midnight blue. And then when I was satisfied with my saturation, I sprinkled salt on it. And so if you sprinkle water on a dyed thing, it will push the dye into like um, rings, basically. So the color will get lighter, and then dark around the perimeter of the dot. when you do a salt, it draws the water to itself, or like it's like a diffusion thing, so it brings dye to it. So you end up getting areas where you have sort of darker, it sort of increase the intensity of color where the salt was sprinkled on. It took forever. It took forever to dry. Um, so I like kept like going in and poking. It's like, oh my gosh, this is sodden. I don't know what I'm doing. But eventually it did dry. I did do a first pass of ironing it at the hotel in like a little paper sandwich. But I'll do one more pass of ironing at home. But I'm definitely not the person, the normal laundry person. And then when it comes time to do the wash, I will definitely be doing it in one of my little buckets because would it be? Because there is a lot of dye saturation, so I'm hoping it can stay this vivid. But yeah, I think it's turned out really cool. Um, and then, well, I feel so chic with my little galaxy scarf. Or I guess I could also do something like this. Just depends on how I'm feeling. Well, actually, that does show more of it. So I'll just be wandering around the Bay Area yarn crawl in my little galaxy scarf and be like, I know who I am. Maybe I'll be wearing my name tag. Maybe I will be mistaken for someone who knows what they're doing. But so we'll see what I can do. It doesn't seem like there's dye transfer anymore. Oh, so gorgeous. So this was a ton of fun, and I don't even know if I will wear a silk scarf, but I might just wear it because it's so like totally me that it's all good. So, and then I'm sure my friends have ideas on cool ways to style, but oh, so pretty. I'm sorry. The it's now light at 4 p.m. It's now light at 5 p.m. But yeah, so this turned out so cool. But that was one of the things that I did on the day that I didn't have classes. Um, what would it be? So we're getting to more retreat content. It was like those were all of the things that I crafted during the retreat. And then we have what I ended up purchasing at the retreat. So if you do not want to see that sort of nonsense, I was like, hopefully I'm done talking about other stuff. But I am me, so it could be a little windy. Um, but yeah, so the rest, it was like I definitely do have, or what is it? So we've talked about the mending class, we've talked about silk start dyeing, and then the mending was like a pre-retreat workshop, which was totally fun and very excited I got to go, and too many of us wanted to do it. The other one was to make a duct tape dress form, um, which, to be fair, it was like, that is handy, but like, since I'm not someone who sews like a little bit, whatever, I was like, I do not need um my my that right now in my life. It was like, if I do go down the sewing thing, that might be more useful to do later. Um, but definitely something where you need a friend to help, so we'll see. Um, and like the theme of the retreat was little things. And so I took classes with Stephanie Pearl McGee and Debbie Stroller. Stroller? And so Steph's classes were about lace and beading and the history of knitting, and she had quite a lot of lecture time. Um, and we talked about like the three main lace traditions, what to look for, would it be? Oh, and it was very lovely class. We ended up making at the end we ended up making like a swatch of lace, and what it be? I don't know that we covered everyone in the class. Um, just like a couple of tips and tricks are just totally worth the price of admission anyways. So um, it confirms something that I suspected but did not understand. So but even just knowing like a whatever, it was like I now have a better way of um pearl pearl two through the back loop. So it's great. Um, and then the class that I ended up taking with Debbie sort of was a lot of it was focused on joining knitting together. So we did grafting, we did grafting stockinette, grafting, grafting ribbing, the Finchley graft, um, grafting garter, and then the piece de resistance, um, grafting knitted lace. So you have decreases in yarn overs in every row. I failed. But at the very least, I know all of the things you need to do in order to prepare for that situation. Um, and what it be? I think the short answer is that when I have something that I actually want to do that to, then I can knit some swatches and practice a bunch before doing the real thing. But yeah, I had loose stitches. I probably should just recover the yarn. It was like, yeah. It was like where the stitch markers are places where we just lost control of the situation. But um what is in purple was the graph that I ended up making, so it did turn out pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. We might even have a couple more loose ones, so I guess that is comforting in a way. But yeah, so out of however many we could have done. I did miss a few. So it's okay. Um so I was learning, it's fine. But I do have um more try it on tube that I can use. So that was good. But you can see here I have sort of the original sort of knit base. And so these two pieces were separate. So it is possible. It is possible. Um, but what was it? Oh, we also did like a provisional cast on um, into ribbing. I attempted to do grafting into 1x1 ribbing, but I got offset by a stitch and I wasn't going to redo it. But here is my garter graft. Here, I think, is my Finchley graft. This is my normal one. So I have done these ones before. Like this one was a now and next sock, and this one I do all the time. So that was fine. But it was good to get some practice on the thought process behind this, and then sort of the overall overarching how do you um how do you deal with all of that? And then at the very end, we did beading. So this is just a little cuff that I ended up making. So I'm curious if my child would like it as a bracelet or something. But I ended up messing up the stringing of the beads. So this was the first time that I've done knit with strung on beads. So I will know better next time. So right now it's just a fun little pattern. It wasn't the pattern that I intended it to be. So, um, and then it is the case where we did talk about how, so that would be you put the beads in between the slip stitches. There's also, you can also place the bead on a leg of the stitch as well. And then somewhere was my swatch from Steph's class, but that might just be floating around somewhere else. That's fine. Maybe even the bottom of the bag. So, what it be? So, it was, like, they definitely had a tough job because there were people who were, um, maybe a little bit more new and people who were very experienced all in the same class, but they managed to make it work. And then definitely some things where it was just like it was it was uncomfortable doing this. I was very tired. So like it's not very often that like I ask for a lot of help in a knitting class, but I definitely needed a lot a lot for this one. That one was a big challenge. But it's definitely the case where they both took it very seriously to make sure that there was something in the class for all levels of knitter, and if you were just tapped out, it was fine. But I did it all. Did it all. So we can roll into acquisitions. What would it be? I did end up needing to check my suitcase and turn my DFW Fiber Fest thing into my my carry-on instead of my personal item, but it wasn't too crazy. Um, so what I have here is so this is from Anana Hills Farm and Fibers, and so this is a sheep farm in Port Ludlow, Washington. So we got to visit the farm, and three shepherdesses were there to talk about how they manage their flocks and what they're looking for in breeding. And they were all like serious. They were all like serious about producing very nice fiber. So they had just like a little farm stand set up. Um, and it was the case where they did have like a really like this was not farm yarn. So, and then we got to visit with the Shetland sheep. And so this is, I ended up buying of, a pound of carded fiber, all from the same sheep named Livy. And the shepherdess had to like go and be like, "Oh wait, we need to see Livy. I need to point her out to you." Since I had bought the pound, and it's like so soft and just like a little whisper of variation. So it's not so there's definitely like a little bit of brown in it too, but mostly overall impression. Like I don't know if we can, yeah. So you can see a little just whisper darkness in there. Um, so got to what would it be? So that was talking about whatever is whoever had I was really glad there were people in the group who had lots of good questions, so that was lovely. Um, and then let's see. And But like it was the case where they did end up having some like pretty cool things basically. Um, so they had yarn that was blended with cashmere, yarn that was blended with silk, yarn that was blended with angora, um, purely, purely one breed of sheep, are purely all sheep from their farm. Um, so, and what would be, and it'd be the case where they were talking about some of the challenges that they were facing as small fiber producers as well. So, so they're working on trying to get a cooperative mill set up. Um, we will, whatever. I guess we can discuss this now. There was the free to a good home table. So I ended up picking up so this is lace weight yarn. I'm guessing, I don't know, it's pretty healthy amount. I'll have to weigh the other one, but it does look like it is the same base. I don't know if it's all the same dyer. Um, we'll have to I'll have to see if I can ask Kathy if she knows more or creep on her. um, but yeah, so this one was July 2014 Seagrass, and it was very clear the Frida Good Home table, the lace weight yarn was not popular. And was like, I do, I do like knitting with lace. So I ended up picking, I rescued it. It was like, it was not my favorite blue color, but I did realize that it did, they could probably have more of a home with me. And then I did get a skein of Sima. So we'll see. Like, I definitely already do have this in the stash, and I don't know if I have lace weight or not. So the lace weight was not popular. So this one is 70% super baby alpaca and 30% fine, you know. Yeah, but okay. And then this one was 100% merino. So we will see. Um, but yeah, on this one, yeah, so this is a 50 gram. Okay. So I think I already have some of this already, so I figured it was pretty safe to rescue, and it was. It was Molly Blue. Um, in terms of the cool stuff we received, like sort of as the part of being retreat attendees, please stand by while I rejigger things. I was like, will I be able to? Yeah. So every night at dinner, we had sort of a different goodie bag. And so this is Amber Silk and Lace. And this is something that one of the retreat attendees, Rebecca, so she has her own sort of soap and lotion store. And so there's a goodie bag with sample of, oh wait, let's see, better card. Frolic and Detour Handmade Adventures. So she ended up very kindly providing sort of like a sampler of a bunch of her projects. Um, so we will get to have a lot of fun with that. So it looks like we have sugar scrub, foot balm, cuticle balm, some soap. So really, really good mixture of stuff. So I haven't had a chance to sort of like poke around in this one yet. Um, and then another night at dinner, we ended up getting a Laura Nelkin kit, so that was very cool. So this will make a eat it bracelet. I was like, I feel like a little, it's like, but I am curious. We'll break the seal. Maybe we can restick the sticker if I'm not ready. I think I can restick the sticker if I'm not ready. Um, very gently. All right. So maybe not as much my colors, but we should be good to go. And so what we have, like, this definitely goes together for sure. So I have a flosser, a pattern code, and a little kit in order to do the bead thing. Ah, these beads are gorgeous. This will be fun. Wow, I don't even know what I think these are stone. I think these are stone bead because they're really cool. All right, it'll be fun. It's like, eh, it's more earth tones, but it's fine. But yeah, so we got this little kit. And then on the final night, we ended up getting a set of 3 mini skeins from Lamb and Kid. And so this is their Surrey silk. So it is 74% Surrey alpaca, 26% silk. Um, and somewhat, or would it be, since alpaca and mohair are polarizing. So I ended up getting 4 minis. Um, and then, like, I ended up getting visited by the yarn fairy, and so then I have 5. So I have pastel blue, more medium blue, pink, brown, and like a silver. So I might end up um, holding these together for stripes or something like in a sweater. That's what I'm thinking. There was definitely very pretty, um, some very pretty inspiration ideas. So, and might end up doing like uh not necessarily doing equal width stripes because this one's a 50 and these guys are 20 a piece. So there should be quite a bit here. So these were um gifts, which was super fun. Um and then we can talk about this first. So the vendor market probably had 6 or 7, maybe a little bit more vendors. I think some people were sharing space. But one of the people who was attending was Northwest Makes. And so what so this is a tote bag that they had. And so printed and sewn in Issaquah, Washington. Wash and cold, tumble dry low. So I just thought this was a very cute tote in very molly colors. Um, so these are screen printed linens. I was tempted by some of like her more like houseware stuff, so table runner, napkin, that sort of thing. But I was sort of like aiming to get like 12 napkins and she only had 8. So I might end up making an order and I sort of have a good idea. Or because the tote bag is made with the scraps, I have a pretty good idea about pattern and color and that sort of thing. So that was really cool. Um, and then I ended up walking into the market, and so this is Jadawu Designs, and she was wearing one of my friend's patterns, so Ksenia's pattern from the last yarn crawl, and this blue. This is the blue of Unreality. She calls the colorway electric. I'm like, I need to buy this. What skein of yarn goes, and this was the first one she picked up. And it's like, yeah, yeah. So, so the yardage on these is pretty close, maybe. Double checking. Okay, yeah. So these guys are 460, and then this one is 437. So I wanted to do something from the Tuck Stitches book, and so in order to do that, I needed more of whatever ends up getting tucked, basically. Um, so this will allow me to do like a 2 tuck sort of thing. And you could scale from there. But she had a lot of this. So even more Surrey alpaca than before. Whatever. And what it be. And it's always really nice when you're like, this color's screaming. Like, what else are you dying with it? So, so I had to take a picture of her in her shawl and her company name and make sure my friend knew that I had seen it in the wild. And then the last thing that I will show you um, is I ended up figuring out what yarn I wanted for Dingley Dell. So the biggest booth in the market was Heidi from the Artful You. So she is a friend of a friend, or a friend of a couple of friends. So it was really lovely to. So she ended up bringing sort of, I want to say like 4 or 5 different bases. And so this one, which is a navy, um, is BFL Massam. And then this bright green is more Surrey silk. um, and so I'll be doing the Rockety color alternation, but with the Dingley Dell pattern. And whatever, everyone I was talking to is like, oh my gosh, that's such an amazing sweater. So, and it was a case where I was debating what sort of bright pop I wanted to have, and then Heidi's like, green. I'm like, all right. It's like, we'll make it happen. So even though this, or whatever, like I definitely did want a bright color pop. So it will be similar to my rocket, but different. Um, and yeah, I didn't have the other Surrey when I ended up getting this. Well, no, I got a lot of Surrey and I bought a lot of Surrey. This might be a sign that I should knit some. But yeah, so it was like, did I get a sweater quantity of fiber and a sweater quantity of yarn and picked up a sweater quantity of free yarn? Maybe. Maybe. Am I thinking about knitting sweater like things with this too? I suppose. So, I don't know. This will be an interesting swatching exercise for sure. Um, yeah, I'll have to figure out what I want to do, what would be fun as an MC. Was like, and depending, I don't know, not sure. I was like, this one's already balled up. Maybe. I don't know. That would be, we'll have to swatch and find out. But the joke was, Kathy was like, I knit a huge thing, and I still had this much left. So, whatever, it's fine. But, um, yeah, so it turned out to be a bit more yarn than maybe I had planned on, especially heading into the Bay Area yarn crawl. So, I will probably end up being more restrained, knowing that I've knit 2 sweaters with yarn I bought after last year's Bay Area yarn crawl, and no sweaters with what I bought at Bay Area yarn crawl, and then equivalent of 2 or 3 sweaters and strung along. So, oh well. It was like, and then obviously I'm stuck in a, oh wait, go back on my current sweaters. So, oh well, it's fine. But like, I I would say the most dangerous thing about the strung along market is that it happens in the evening. It's a pretty short time frame, and you've already had dinner and drinks, so I don't think I was mentally prepared for an evening market. um, and then yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know if I would have ended up making different choices. Like I'm really happy to have bought bought fiber from sheep I've met before. So it's fine. Um, but it was just like handling the fiber itself and being like, this is good. This is not the uh special Shetland. So would it be? It'll all work out. Would it have been exciting to have already been working on sleeve two? Maybe. Do I have a decent amount of mending left to do? Probably. Um, like it is the case where I think the short answer is I will be launching into a decent amount of mending. Um, what is it? So I there's a plan, but I'll probably finish what I have that's out and easy, and then launch into um, the more challenging things now that I've taken that class. So overall, pretty positive, all things considered. And then I'm just laughing about my lighting situation because the sun is still so high in the sky. Um, Whatever. So I definitely had a lot of fun. I would definitely consider going back. I'm not sure when would actually be a good time, so I'll just have to keep an eye out. Um, what was it? Like it probably won't be in this next calendar year, but I will. It would definitely be a lot of fun to return. It might be the case where what I want to do is, I know, I think I would want to try the November one that's more spinning focus, but it is a harder lift. Um, but I'm maybe not sure what my schedule is going to be like in the year and a half time frame. But yeah, definitely met a lot of cool people. It was definitely much more luxurious and pricier than SSK for sure. Um, would it be? But whatever. I think I didn't feel like I was ripped off. Would be like I thought it was a reasonable price for what was offered. It was just definitely at least twice, maybe more expensive than SSK. Um, so um, would it be? Ran into people I'd met before, met new people. Like I don't really think that it was clicky at all. I don't know if that's been like I felt like I could jump in with any group and it was pretty comfortable. I was a little nervous. It was definitely um I was I noted that the other person who was sort of close to like the same like life stage that I was at with like toddler also had a high paying tech job. So give you an idea of the price scale. so so it was the case where I think that just ended up sort of pulling like a different cross section of people, if that makes sense. So it's perhaps not surprising that there were people who were obviously younger than me at the retreat because of that. Um, I got to soak in the tub 2 nights. I got to go for a lovely walk on the shore. The hotel was surrounded or had like two sides of shore on it. Every view was a killer view. Um, what would it be? The staff was all on board and maybe whatever amused by us. So I would say probably um, like if you were thinking of doing it, like if you have dietary restrictions, there were some people with some wild restrictions that they were able to accommodate. And part of this is like Stephanie Pearl McPhee is a vegan, and so always there was always a vegan option because she was there. But also like gluten-free, dairy-free combinations thereof. And so as a carnivore, I was happy, but also I tried a little bit of everything, and a lot of this stuff was amazing. So it was like you don't you're not missing out on very much. um so would it be? I would say definitely skewed. Would it be? There wasn't necessarily like a late night scene. Like at about like 9:30, I was like, all right, this is enough. I'm gonna go back to my room and be alone. Which was maybe good for me being an introvert, but just if you're a night owl, that doesn't seem to be the crowd. Um, so would it be just things and things. So in terms, or would it be like I would say, like in contrast, like SSK tends to have more younger people and like maybe a bigger cross section of the country as far as like socioeconomic status. So people who go to every single knitting retreat and people where that okay, I can afford this one. And it'd be the case where I think the bar for you can afford this one was just much higher. So it was a much tighter cross section of people as a result. So, but I don't think there was anything where it was like, oh yeah, okay. So, um, what it be? We'll talk again in 2 weeks. So, with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. So, take care, guys. Bye bye.